Good morning. On this Saturday, we were going to look at a lot of Genesis. Today, we're going to look at chapters 41 through 45, combining today and tomorrow's readings. Tomorrow morning, we have worship live at 9 o'clock here on Facebook, coming out of Mabel and Sutton. Holy Communion tomorrow. So you're welcome to join us for Holy Communion as well as always. To have some juice or crackers, wine, whichever you want to have for the elements for Holy Communion. And then we meet again at 10:30 at Our Savior's in McHenry. And last Sunday I talked about family and being together as family that way, and family of God. And as we look at this Old Testament readings, it's God is so active in the lives of these Hebrews, these Israelites, and well, they're not called Israelites yet, but anyway, God is active in their world just as he is in ours. We begin chapter 1 with 2 years after Joseph had interpreted the dreams of the baker and the wine steward. And Pharaoh has dreams, the two dreams, back-to-back dreams one night of the 7 fat cows followed up by 7 skinny cows, of 7 wonderful full heads of wheat swallowed up by 7 curled up, bare, empty heads of wheat. And nobody in all of the kingdom of Egypt can interpret those dreams. And at that point in time, the memory comes back to the person there that is this chief cupbearer. And I have been negligent in my remembering. And there was a Hebrew man, in jail, Joseph, and he interpreted our dreams, and his interpretation was correct. So Pharaoh calls this Joseph, this Hebrew, and it tells us that after he had been brought up from prison, and he had shaved and changed clothes, he comes and before Pharaoh, and Pharaoh tells Joseph the dreams, and yet within all of this, Pharaoh says, "I hear you have this ability," and Joseph said, hey, it's not me, it's God working through me, and it is such a beautiful answer. It's not me, it's not about me, it's about God. And anyway, the dreams are told to Joseph, and he interprets the dreams as to having this 7 years of abundance and then 7 years of famine, of no crops, of hardship. And Pharaoh decides to take action. He said, we need to store up grain. We need to have a wise and prudent man in charge of all of this. And of course, who does he choose? Well, he chooses Joseph. We know that. But it's, Joseph had given Pharaoh the advice, this is what God has shown you in this dream. And when God says it twice, it's going to happen. And that's good advice for, when we read something in the Bible too. When we read it twice, or Jesus says it twice, or those kinds of things, pay attention. And especially like, do not fear, have no fear, do not be afraid. Those times are way more than 2 times in the Bible. But, so God's promise to Joseph and to the Hebrew people continue in this lifting up Joseph to be this ruler in Egypt. And Pharaoh says that no one will be greater than you, Joseph, in my kingdom, and what a kind of a change, here from being in prison for several years to being this man in charge. And so they set up storehouses, and Joseph travels throughout the land, putting up these storehouses for the grain during the 7 good years. They store the good grain, and the 7 good years pass, and the 7 bad years begin, and people start running out of food in other areas. And Joseph's father, Jacob, in Canaan, they also are running out of food. They have the drought, the famine is there. And the Bible continues to refer to him as Jacob, although twice you know, after he had wrestled with God in chapter 33, and then again in chapter 35, you know, God says, you shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel. And it just kind of completes this struggle in my head, you know, to keep track of, well, who is he, Jacob or Israel? But, you know, here it's continued again. He's referred to as Jacob. But Jacob learns there's grain in Egypt, and he sends his 10 older sons, because the 11th son, Joseph, is believed to be dead, of course, and Joseph's only full brother, Benjamin, is kept home by his father. And as these brothers come then, Joseph, of course, recognizes them, but they don't recognize Joseph at all. And he doesn't say anything about anything to them. And I can totally understand they're not recognizing him. Here they sold him, you know, quite a few years ago. He was younger. He was, you know, and now he's approaching 30 years old, you know, somewhere in there. And he's changed a little bit and out of place. And I know how that works, to see somebody and I think I know who you are, but I mean, why, you know? But, you know, you see them in a different spot, dressed differently, so many different things happen. But anyway, the 10 brothers are there, and Joseph questions them. And they respond with, well, our father, you know, Jacob is, you know, he's getting on in his years, but, you know, he kept our youngest brother home with him because we were 12 brothers, but, you know, one is no longer living. And they told him the whole story, and Joseph sends them off with the grains and everything that they came to buy. And they get home and they find all of their silver, their pouches of silver, their money that they had supposedly paid was back in there. And then it's, oh no, you know. And so then when they come to needing more grain and their father is going to send them back, well, they know that they can't go back without Benjamin because this was Joseph's request. You know, one brother had been kept back to be Simeon, I think, has been kept back as a prisoner until these other brothers came and returned with the youngest brother, Benjamin. But, of course, Jacob did not want to send Benjamin. He'd already lost Joseph, you know, the one favorite, and here now this other, you know, favorite son they wanted him to go back. But as he finally convinces the boys to go back, he says, well, take double the money with you so you can repay what you know, and you know, reluctantly take Benjamin. And one of the brothers pledges his own life, his own son's life, against his brother Benjamin. If I don't bring him back, you know, this will, you know. And but all of it transpires, and they go again to get this more grain. And they come with the money. Oh no, we received your money, it's paid in full, and you know what's going on, and all of the intrigue and everything that goes on. And then in chapter 44, Joseph tells them to fill these men's bags, you know, with as much as they can carry, and again put each man's money back in the bag, and then take my cup, my gold and silver cup, you know, silver cup, put it on the top of the youngest son along with his money. And of course, then we know the intrigue that comes because Joseph sends people after them and to bring them back because his silver cup is missing. And they come back again, and they fall on the ground, you know, and Joseph says, what is this you've done? Did you not know that I can practice divination? And what can we say, you know? And then it's only the one who was in possession of the cup will be my slave, but as for the rest of you, go back to your father. And so he's going to keep his brother Benjamin there, the youngest one, the apple of his father's eye again now. You know, and the other brothers, they just, you know, how can we go, you know? And Judah, you know, steps up to Joseph and says, how can we do this? Please don't be angry with your servant, for you are like Pharaoh yourself, you know? I mean, they recognize his authority. And have you a father or a brother? are we to say to my this youngest child of his old age that his brother is dead and he alone is left, and he talks about the father's sacrifice, and he talks about how heartbroken Jacob will be if Benjamin doesn't return. And when we went back, we told our father, we said we can't go down unless the youngest one goes with, and it's just the heartache and all is there. And then in chapter 45, finally Joseph breaks down and tells his brothers, I am your brother Joseph. And he says, I am Joseph. Is my father alive? And they are so dumbstruck, they don't know what to even say or think or do. But throughout then the rest of the chapter, he treats his brothers well. He sends them back to their father, and it says Joseph in verse 21. Joseph gave them wagons according to the instructions of Pharaoh, gave them provisions for the journey, gave them garments, and sent them back to his father with the invitation to bring all of them here. And we'll continue that story on Monday morning.